It's Brianne Dick here. I'm the co-founder of the Visionary CEO Academy. And today I want to dig into the way that we've been able to use leverage in our business with our clients in a way that's really intentional and powerful. It's called the high value hybrid. And what's really unique about this method, this tool, is how it allows us to serve more clients, serve more customers, and do it in a really impactful way that doesn't require us to herd people en masse into a massive online course. And it also doesn't require us to have a massive team and to manage a whole bunch of people. So that's what we're going to dig into today. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this with everyone is that in the online business world, there are generally two different pathways to scale that we hear talked about and that we see taught. You can have agency services, or you can have a leveraged offer like a course or a membership or something like that. And in this video, I want to focus specifically on the second side of the equation, which is the leveraged side of things. And I want to talk about why going pure leverage can very often be a mistake for folks who have an established business and they get amazing results, but it's not scalable. And they're like, okay, I need to do something to make this scalable. Therefore, I need to leverage it. Therefore, I need to make it into a course, or I need to make it into a bigger group program, or whatever it happens to be. So maybe you're at 250K and you've got a mix of coaching and one-on-one, maybe some small groups, or maybe you are a freelancer or you've got a small agency and you've been able to build your business out to a point where you can't keep delivering the way you have been. And so you decide to scale by adding in more leverage. Now, what does that usually look like for most folks? Well, there's three characteristics that we often see result when people decide to go purely into like a big full-on leveraged model. And the first one is that we end up with big groups. So maybe you've had a small group coaching program and you've had 5, 10, 15, 20 people in it. But now in order to scale it, you have to be able to have 50 people in a group or 100 people in a group. And I think we've all, if we've not had the experience personally, we've heard about the group coaching calls that go on for hours and hours and hours in order to make sure that everyone's question gets answered. Or you get in these big groups and you're just one person among many, and you don't actually get your questions answered. And sometimes that's because the groups are too big in terms of the amount of one-on-one attention you get. Sometimes it's because the curriculum isn't flexible, where everyone's going through the exact same steps and the exact same process. And there's no way to account for the uniqueness of each individual person. And so we end up with these big groups that sacrifices the individual and personal experience. And the second thing that happens often when we see folks going from these smaller groups into these larger, bigger platforms or bigger delivery models like big courses or whatever it happens to look like, is that this represents a market shift. And it makes it very hard in some cases to find people who want to buy into this experience. This is especially true for service providers who are used to working with people one-on-one or, on an individual project, and people are used to getting your time and attention. And then all of a sudden you want to go and offer a course, and you'll find that the people who want you to just do the service for them and the people who want to, be in a course or a program and learn to do it themselves, that's a completely different market. And so very often we see people who are service providers go and try and create a course, and they find, I don't know what to do. No one's buying. Or vice versa. We see people who have small group programs. They want to go and create a membership. Again, it's a different market. And essentially, when you're switching your market that dramatically, the question is, are you creating a new business? And the answer is, in a lot of cases, yeah. And if you don't have the infrastructure to handle that, that can be a real problem. And then the third challenge that comes when people try and put so much leverage into their delivery is you still end out with provider burnout, because you're still the one that has to come up with the tools, the methods, the ideas, the IP, whether it's worksheets or videos or trainings or whatever it is that you're using to create leverage. So often it's you that has to create all of that raw material. You're the one who has to solve the problems. You're the one who makes the decisions. And for as much as it sounds great in theory that you're going to be able to do that for multiple people, the truth is many coaches, many service providers end up burning out faster because now they have so many more demands on their time. Instead of having 5 clients who are wanting their time and attention, now they have 50 or 500 clients. And that leads so quickly to burnout. And it's just a mess. And so that's why we want to find a different solution and to have a different experience. And in particular, we want you to be able to have, I don't know why I always do that. I always write down the number 2 when it's actually the number 1. But what we want you to have is a different experience. So what we want is for you to be able to have infinite capacity. And what I mean by that is not that you're going to go and herd hundreds of people into a single leveraged offer and never know the name of anyone individually, but rather that you are able to potentially serve and bring on an unlimited number of clients. And the way you're going to do that is by structuring the experience, structuring your team, structuring your business, structuring all of these things with that you can deliver at the same level of high touch in a way that, every client's going to be able to get, seen and heard, and they're going to be able to get results. And you're not going to be watering down the experience in getting there. We want to be able to do that, not just for a potentially unlimited number of clients, but we want to do that with your same marketing, right? We want you to not have to go and change the way you market, the way you sell. We don't want you to have to change your messaging. We don't want you to have to change your positioning. We don't want to send you back to the drawing board to try and refigure out all the stuff that's already working, right? So we can't be making dramatic shifts to your business model where I was a course creator and now I am a service provider or vice versa, because that's just going to create more confusion and create more work for you in the marketing side. And then finally, we want all of this to happen in a way that supports you so that you can actually, take a break every once in a while. You can work on other projects. You can focus on something else now and again. Maybe you can step away, whether that's vacation or something unexpected happens. And when you take a break, it doesn't rely or doesn't require the business to pause, right? Because even with big group programs, what we often see is that the provider, the person doing the coaching calls or providing the IP or doing the training, if they're not available, those things don't happen. And so you have to choose between, can I take a break now? Do I have to reschedule everything? Do I have to put it on pause? What we want is for you to not have to make those choices. So I'm going to be taking you through this high value hybrid process. And if you're watching this on Facebook in the group, you can go ahead and get a copy of the worksheet. Just comment worksheet below. We'll send it to you. If you're watching this anywhere else, Facebook, YouTube, Medium, wherever else you might happen to be out there on the wide world of the interwebs, there should be a link somewhere for you to download the worksheet, and you can go through and you can do this alongside of me. All right, let's go and dive in. So the first thing that I want you to realize when we're thinking about how we can make your delivery more scalable, how we can bring a high value hybrid into play, is that the way you work with clients exists on a continuum. So on one extreme, we have you working with one client at a time, right? So you're working one-on-one with people, one at a time, one after the other, whatever that happens to look like, right? And then on the other extreme, we have you working with potentially thousands of clients at a time. Like you have a big course. It could be tens of thousands of clients at a time, right? You have a big course, a big membership, whatever that happens to look like. And this is a spectrum, right? So we have everything from working with people one-on-one down here, all the way up to big courses or memberships up here. And what I want you to realize is, as I said, this is a spectrum, and this can be anywhere in between that your business can fall. But it's not just about how many clients you have that comes into this equation when we're trying to figure out what's the scalable way for you to have impact. We also have to look at the other side of the equation, which is not just who are you serving, but what is the continuum in terms of how that service or that support is being provided. And so again, we could have one person providing the support, right? That would be you usually, right? You're the one doing the coaching. You're the one doing the design. You're the one building the website, whatever it happens to be. There's one of you working on it. And at the other extreme, you might have, I don't know, a massive business might also have 1,000 or more team members on it, right? You might have a big agency where you have a big team and all of those team members are coming together to work on every single client project, right? So maybe you have an agency and you have a project manager and a designer and a developer and a QA person and a copywriter and a photographer and an automation specialist. And all of those people work on every single project. And we end up on this agency model. These are the two spectrums, the two extremes, if you will, of the way we can structure our team in order to be able to have this impact. And the problem that arises when people are thinking about how do I make my delivery scalable is that they think that the solution is to shove their business into one of these quadrants in its entirety. So we end up with someone saying, I'm going to go courses, I'm going to make everything hyper leveraged, and I'm going to go all the way, lots of clients, really small team, awesome for profit margins, but client results, they suffer, right? Because the clients are being shoved through a pipeline that may or may not actually suit them. Or you end up in a situation where if a client struggles, they don't have the support available to them on a personal level to be able to actually get the benefit, to get past the sticking point, past the tripping up point. Conversely, what some people will do is they'll say, I'm just going to do everything custom. I'm not going to leverage anything. Everything's going to be custom, bespoke. We're going to get amazing results for every single client that comes through our door. And that's the agency model, right? So they're like, we're going to do everything as an agency. We're going to have specialists in place for every single piece of our business. And, they produce amazing results. But what ends up happening is that it's so common for agencies to end up in this trap where if they don't sell more, they can't pay the team to deliver on the projects they've already started because they're constantly in this battle of like, it's not profitable enough. So much of the money is going to the team that they're always playing catch up. And so ultimately what we're seeing is that you have this paradigm or this tension between, okay, on the one side, we can go hyper profitable, right? We can go super leveraged. We can work with a lot of clients and we can have a very small team to do it. Or on the flip side, we can go and we can get amazing results for every single client, for every person that comes through the door, but we're going to have a big team to do it. And these things are often seen at being in tension with each other, that we can't have both. And the truth is that with these models, that's where you end up, is in a place where you can either have profit or results, but you can't have both. And a scalable model cannot exist without both of those things. In order for your business to be scalable, you need to find a way to provide both profit and results at the same time. You need something that's going to be high value to the clients in terms of it needs to get them results, right? It needs to be high value to the clients, but it also needs to be high value to the business. It needs to be profitable. And so what we're really talking about is finding something that can live in this quadrant where we're providing high value to both the client and the business, which means we're looking for a hybrid. A high value hybrid produces amazing results for a lot of people with the right size team, not an oversized team and not a watered down experience, but we're maximizing the balance of profit and results for every client that comes through the business. So how do we do this? Well, if you've heard us talk about the idea of a value map before, that's where we begin. We start by breaking down all of the steps in the process. What are all the things that happen? What does the business do? What does the client do? What are all the pieces? And then the key here is that, again, in a traditional online business model, you would say, okay, so all of these steps now need to be leveraged. And so we need to take our calls and our trainings and our worksheets and our support structures, and they all need to be leveraged. Every one of those pieces needs to be leveraged. And we end up in this massive course world. Or we say, oh, we really want to make sure that we have this personal time and attention. So we're going to do everything custom, right? Custom design, custom, every meeting is going to be unique. Every question is going to get a personal answer. Everything that's going to happen, there's no templates, there's no nothing. We're going to do everything from scratch, bespoke, custom for the client. And we end up down here in agency hell. And the problem with both of these approaches is that you're looking at the product as a whole, and you're saying the whole thing has to be leveraged or the whole thing has to be done bespoke. And the truth is that in a high value hybrid, what you want to do is look at all of those steps. And instead of changing all of the steps in the same way, so making them all leveraged or all bespoke, we want to look at those steps individually and say, what would happen if this piece was done more leveraged, but this piece was done more bespoke? So for example, when we work with our clients in the academy, some of the projects that you work on, you complete them on your own time. We have some video training, we have worksheets, etc. And you go through it at your own time. It's very leveraged. But some of the projects you do live with us. We get on a workshop, we go hands-on practically and work through it together on Zoom because, we found that some things people can do on their own and they really get it. But sometimes if they're not working through it with us there, they really struggle. And so some things we do one way and some things we do another. Another example would be the way that we provide support to our clients, right? So some cases you can get group coaching, or you can come to Slack and you can ask your questions in a very leveraged format. But for other things you don't want to talk about in a group format, maybe it's personal or it's something that you don't want to be open in a whole group of people about. For that, we provide one-on-one coaching. And so again, it depends on the situation. The individual steps move toward leverage or move toward more of a bespoke idea. And this is also, by the way, true for service providers. So we've had lawyers and accountants that have worked with us and implemented a high value hybrid in their business. And I remember one of them is a lawyer. You want to talk about a business where it feels like clients aren't going to want to talk to each other or know each other. But actually what she found is that when she thought about which elements of her work she could bring group elements into, so onboarding was one example, networking events, and just really being able to have people know that this is where they're at in the progress, it not only made the business more profitable because she was introducing elements of leverage, but it had this benefit of now the clients had a group of people that they were now in a network with. And it became actually a value add to the clients because they no longer felt alone. They were no longer going through this on their own. And it became a very seamless way of providing additional value to the customers by providing all of the benefits of leverage while still allowing the actual legal services to be provided in a one-on-one bespoke custom way. And so ultimately, when you're talking about building a high value hybrid, that's what we're talking about. And there's a lot more we can go into here. You'll see that we've got this idea of key considerations. So what are the different ways you could do things? Well, you can do things more custom or less custom, right? You could do it where it's like templated for everyone or where it's completely custom for everyone. In terms of leverage, you could do things completely one-on-one, or you could do it in groups. In terms of directionality, there's the difference between one-on-one, or done for you and done with you, or do it yourself, right? And then frequency. Is this something where people can just do it at their own pace, or is it something where you've got certain time frames when you're going to be taking people through this? And so all of these elements, whether it's bespoke or more templated, whether it's something that you're doing one-on-one or you're doing in groups, whether it's done do it yourself or done for you, and whether you're doing it kind of, evergreen or launch, or my favorite, which falls in between, which is to do a cohort. The idea here is that by mixing and matching these variables within the steps of your delivery, and actually within the steps of your marketing and sales, because the same thing applies to your demand gen system. The idea is that when you look at how these things can look on the individual components of what you deliver, then you're able to find a sweet spot in terms of delivering that takes us into that quadrant of high value hybrid. So we're not getting super profitable, but no results like we do with massive courses, but we're also not getting low profit in order to get good results like we do with big agencies. Instead, we're able to hit that sweet spot where we can have infinite scalability. We can keep growing. We know that clients will get results. We're not going to have to overhire to get there. We're not going to have to burn out because we're not the only one doing all the work. And ultimately, we can create the kind of results that we want for as many people as we want. So if you're looking for a way to add more leverage to your program or service and you don't want to water it down, you don't want to sacrifice results, I really love the high value hybrid because it gives you a framework to be able to maximize both your impact and your income, your results and your profit at the same time. I hope this has been useful for you. If it is, and you want to go ahead and download this and start thinking about for yourself, what am I going to do in terms of the different steps? And you want to go through this worksheet on your own, then go ahead. And if you're watching this in the Facebook group, you can just go ahead and comment worksheet below. We'll make sure you get a copy. Otherwise, there's going to be a button on the page somewhere, button, link, something that's going to take you to where you can download this. And again, you can go through and work through it for yourself and design your very own scalable high value hybrid.